This is huge for the Chicago Bulls. We're going to be talking about a recent Bleacher Report that suggests that Jalen Smith is a hidden gem in the NBA and what this means for Jalen Smith and his possibility of having a breakout season for the Chicago Bulls. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe. You found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so we are breaking down a Bleacher Report article that has Jalen Smith listed as one of 10 players that are hidden gems in the NBA. And I must say that I totally agree with this article. You can find this again on Bleacher Report. It is Zach Buckley who wrote this. 10 NBA hidden gems nobody is talking about. And I think that Jalen Smith is not only a hidden gem, but I think he's going to have a breakout season this year. In fact, with all the Chicago Bulls pickups this offseason, I think that Jalen Smith perhaps might be the second most, the second highest, I should say, behind Josh Giddey for the player that is going to have a breakout season this year. I think that with Jalen Smith, he brings something to the Chicago Bulls that they quite frankly just haven't been able to really find, at least since I've been watching the Chicago Bulls. We've had good guards, we've had good wings, but a stellar center that can just do it all. I mean, I will give Pau Gasol his credit, but I mean, Joakim Noah, I love what he brought on the end. Charles Oakley, you have Othello Harrington, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, Luke Longley, but I'm talking about a center that will take advantage of you on the box like Jalen Smith will do, also be able to shoot the pick and pop jumper, and he can knock down the three ball, also running in transition and being a rim running big that is a lob threat. And defensively, you might want to call him Mr. Clean because he is going to be cleaning the boards on the rebounding end and also swatting things off the glass. So I absolutely love that about Jalen Smith. I think personally, if you watch Hard Knocks and you watch the Chicago Bulls, I think that Jalen Smith is HBO this year. That is helps Bulls out because he really is going to bring something to the Chicago Bulls that they have desperately needed, and that is an identity up front as a center, as a big. So I absolutely love this with Jalen Smith. I think that, yes, he is a hidden gem, and I also think that with the minutes, which we're going to break into here in a moment with the stats, he is going to show you that he absolutely can be a starter in the NBA. And look, Jalen Smith has been behind centers like DeAndre Ayton. He's also been behind Miles Turner as well. And we have to remember he was a lottery pick for the Suns, and I'd have to think the Suns wish they have had him now. And so I love this that the Chicago Bulls have him. And I think that regardless if he comes off the bench or if he is your starter, he is set to have big games because you imagine him paired with Josh Giddey, with Kobe White, with Zach Lavine out there, even though he's taken up minutes. But look, he is going to open it up because he can knock down the shot. He is going to take advantage of mismatches, down low. And also, too, these guys are going to be able to penetrate the lane, get some lobs up and things like that. That is going to be outstanding for the Chicago Bulls, who desperately need to start running now. They don't need to be slowed down in these half-court games, so I definitely think that that is going to help. And then for a team that lost Alex Caruso, you need that defensive presence, so that is going to help if he's in the starting lineup. And then if he's coming off the bench, you can imagine Ayo, who probably is going to be coming off the bench with him, he is going to be able to be running with Ayo out there. And then also, too, think about Modest Buzelis, who is going to be out there as well. He can start the fast break, and both of those players are probably going to be lob threats or fast break finishers. And then if we can get anything from Lonzo Ball while we have him on the roster, you could imagine just the kind of pace and just the amount of pressure that they are going to put on the defense. And then I've talked about how he can help you on the defensive end. He's certainly going to help that second unit as well if he's coming off. And I think that Jalen Smith makes it comfortable for the Chicago Bulls to move on from Vooch. I think that if a trade is made and we don't bring anything back to go ahead and go with him, we can at least be comfortable in starting Jalen Smith until we can figure out more things behind him. And I think that Sanogo and also too Kenny Lofton Jr. both undersized a bit, but they can definitely play, and I think they're going to show that. But we're not talking about them in this particular video. Just Jalen Smith. I think that he is set and poised to have a really good year. And so when we look at other factors that make this really a hidden gem signing for the Chicago Bulls, let's take a look. So we look at some of the numbers that were mentioned by Elias Schuster, and he's talking about the fact that, look, he averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds in 17 minutes for the Pacers, but more importantly, shot 42.4% from behind the arc at 2.4 attempts per game. So you have to love that. But more importantly, look at that contract, the $27 million there. That is huge for the Chicago Bulls because essentially you are getting a player that more than likely is going to have a breakout season for you and is probably going to be a part of your core. I think this young core that you're building, and you're getting him at mid-level exemption money. Like, that is a steal for the Chicago Bulls, especially if we get a player that goes out there and gives you anything like a 16, 12, an 8 stat line or 5 stat line, whatever that looks like. I think that he can absolutely do that if you give him the minutes. And furthermore, when we look at the stats, and we talk about this with Jalen Smith a lot, and people say, well, you know, these minutes, he gets these minutes, he plays well. It's facts. Like, when you look at the stats, he does. Look at the 21-22 season where he was able to get some minutes with the Pacers at 24 minutes a game, and he averaged 13 points a game. He also went out there and he got you, 7.6 rebounds a game. And, he's out there too defensively with the block shots as well. You see that was one of his better defensive seasons there. So with that suggests that you need to give this young man minutes. And I think that, out of the players that are, behind players, and they're looking for minutes to play, I think that being behind Vooch actually helps Jalen Smith out, because I think if anybody's going to be professional about coming out of that starting lineup, I think that it would be Vooch. More so than maybe Zach Lavine. I think that Vooch is probably going to go ahead and accept that role if he had to come off the bench or start to play lesser minutes for a Jalen Smith. I think he's already looking for the future anyway. And the one thing that I do love about Vooch is he's the truth teller on the Chicago Bulls, and he's going to tell you exactly how it is. And I think he understands where the Chicago Bulls are. And so I think that if he has to come off the bench, I think he's willing to do so. And not pout about it. I think that there's other players that if we were to do that, it's probably going to be more of a mess. We're going to hear a lot more from their agent or whoever represents them. I think that could be an issue, not necessarily from the player. And then when you look at a player like Patrick Williams, or Zach Lavine, these are players that we've invested money into, right? And so I don't think that the franchise is going to go ahead and say, hey, we're going to sit that type of money down. I think it's going to take a little bit more for them to go ahead and sit out the way. But Vooch, I think he is that player that it works for Jalen Smith, because there is an article that suggests that Jalen Smith might be the starter for the Chicago Bulls at some point. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Do you think that Jalen Smith is in fact a hidden gem and he is headed to a breakout season? Do you not believe in Jalen Smith and you feel like the Chicago Bulls need to desperately get somebody else behind Jalen Smith to go ahead and help us out on the front lines? Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Just want to thank everybody for liking, sharing, and subscribing to Bulls Digest. It means a lot to us. And just let you know that 65.8% of you that watch are not subscribed. So make sure you mash on that subscribe button for me. Means a lot. And look, we are 4 weeks away from training camp opening up. We're talking about players and their potential still. And I'm still saying go Bulls. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.